Have you ever felt that people only come to you when they need something? Have you ever canceled your own plans, your rest, or your peace just to help someone who forgets you the moment they're done? If this sounds familiar, then this story is for you. Because sometimes life teaches us the hardest lessons through the people we care about the most. Once in a peaceful little town, there lived a man named Daniel. Everyone knew him. If a bicycle chain broke, they shouted for Daniel. If someone needed help carrying boxes, they knocked on his door. If a lonely person just needed someone to talk to, they went straight to Daniel's house. He never, ever said no. He always smiled and said, "Of course, I'll help." He truly believed that helping others made him a better person, and people praised him for his endless kindness. But slowly, without him even realizing it, Daniel's life stopped belonging to him. His own garden remained half-cleaned. A window in his house stayed broken. His roof needed repairs. His own problems were piling up, but instead of fixing them, he was out in the town, fixing everything for everyone else. Every single night, he would come home covered in dirt and sweat. His mother would look at him with tired eyes and say, "Daniel, my dear boy, you help everyone, but why does no one ever help you?" Daniel always gave the same small smile and replied, "It's all right, Mom. One day people will remember my kindness." But that day never came. One evening, the sky turned dark and heavy winds started blowing. The townspeople rushed to protect their gardens and belongings before the storm hit. Daniel also ran out, but not to save his own things. He went straight to help his friend Oliver, whose tools and equipment were still lying outside. They worked fast, covering everything and moving things into the shed. But Daniel's own garden furniture was still outside, his plants were still uncovered, and his wooden boxes were still open. And then the storm hit. Rain poured down heavily. The wind whipped through the town. By the time Daniel reached his own home, almost everything in his garden was completely ruined. He sat on the front steps, rain dripping from his face, just staring at the muddy mess that used to be his peaceful garden. His mother placed a warm towel on his shoulder and said quietly, "Daniel, today you saved everyone's things, except your own." Daniel didn't reply, but inside him, something finally broke. The next morning, tired and confused, he walked to the edge of town to meet old Mr. Harris, a wise retired teacher who lived in a small cottage near the river. Daniel sat down beside him and said, "Sir, I don't understand what I'm doing wrong. I help everyone, but I feel empty. I feel tired, not from work, but from people. Why does it feel like kindness is breaking me?" Mr. Harris watched the river move slowly and said, "Daniel, look at this river. It gives water to the trees, to the birds, to the farms. But when it rains too much and the river forgets its own path, what happens?" Daniel thought for a moment and said, "It floods. It destroys everything." "Exactly," Mr. Harris said. "Kindness without boundaries becomes self-destruction. You are kind, Daniel, but you have no limits. You run everywhere for everyone, but nowhere for yourself. You think saying no is wrong, but sometimes saying no is the most honest form of self-care." Daniel listened carefully as Mr. Harris continued, "For the next 7 days, don't say yes immediately. When someone asks for help, just pause and ask yourself, will helping them harm me? Will I lose time, peace, or energy that I need for myself? If the answer is yes, then say, not today. Just try this, Daniel. You will see what happens." The next morning felt different. Around noon, Oliver rushed to Daniel and said, "Daniel, please help me move a heavy box. I need you." Daniel looked at his own broken fence that had needed repair for months. His heart wanted to say yes, but he remembered Mr. Harris's words. He took a slow breath and said, "Oliver, I'm sorry. Today, I need to fix my own fence. I can help you later, but not today." Oliver just stared at him in shock. "You're saying no?" "You never say no." Daniel just nodded quietly. Oliver left, looking upset, and Daniel felt a little bit guilty, but he stayed focused. Within a few hours, the fence that had been broken for months finally stood strong again. For the first time in a long time, Daniel felt a small sense of pride in taking care of his own life. The next day, 2 neighbors came by for small favors, help with shopping bags. help fixing a chair, but Daniel politely refused and explained he was busy with his own work. That evening, instead of feeling tired and used, he felt light and calm. A quiet peace filled his heart. On the fourth day, the sky turned gray again, and another round of heavy rain poured down. This time, Daniel's own roof started leaking. He looked outside, waiting for someone to knock on his door like he always knocked on theirs. But no one came, not a single person. He could have been angry, but instead, he felt something new, strength. He picked up his tools and fixed the roof himself. It took time. It took patience. But when he finished, he sat under his newly repaired roof and whispered to himself, "So this is what it feels like to depend on myself." Days turned into weeks, and slowly, Daniel became a different man. He stopped running everywhere the moment someone called his name. He stopped sacrificing his sleep and his peace for people who never really cared. He began waking up early to take care of his garden. He cleaned his house. He invested time in himself, and something unexpected happened. People started respecting him more. Oliver began solving his own issues instead of always depending on Daniel. The neighbors stopped calling for every little thing. The town was still friendly, but people no longer treated Daniel like a tool they could use any time. Daniel's house looked better. His garden grew beautifully. His face looked fresher. And for the first time in years, he laughed without feeling tired. He was no longer the man who was always available for everyone. He was the man who valued himself. One afternoon, Mr. Harris visited Daniel. He looked at the healthy plants, the neat yard, and the peaceful smile on Daniel's face. He asked softly, "So, Daniel, did the world fall apart when you stopped saying yes to everyone?" Daniel smiled and said, "No, sir. In fact, my world finally started coming together." Mr. Harris nodded with a gentle smile and said, "When you stop saying yes to everyone, you finally say yes to yourself. And that is when your life truly begins to change." So, my friend, are you like Daniel? Do you give too much of yourself away? Do you say yes even when it hurts? Remember this. Saying no does not make you selfish. It makes you strong. It means you are choosing peace over pressure. Your time, your energy, and your heart are precious. Protect them. Because the world will only start respecting you when you start respecting yourself. Thanks for watching. If this story resonated with you, please share it with someone who needs to hear it.